what we'll do now is we will actually try to design a new currency, see how that works, and if we can make it work, right? So remember the main requirement that we cannot be dependent on any single party or like big organizations in the middle, right? So let's say we start off, this is a professor, Brian Kernighan at Princeton, and we, let's say, have a piece of paper. It's very simple. It could be a piece of paper on this table over here. And we start off by saying that Muneeb has 10 coins and Brian Kernighan has 10 coins, right? Both of us are in the room. Like, we could do this exercise like right here as well. And Paul Krugman, who's actually is funny, he's also a professor at Princeton, but he's a big critic of Bitcoin. Like, he's like, sure, I want to join this thought experiment as well. Like, what are you guys up to? And he joins in, and we say, you have 0 coins. I want to get him started. I basically send him 2 coins, and the transaction is unconfirmed, right? So imagine like it's literally a piece of paper, and then we say the transaction is confirmed, and we update the balance, right? So my balance goes down, his balance goes up, and because everyone is sitting in the same room, we have the same view of reality. There are no conflicts, right? But as soon as someone outside of that physical space, let's say Bill Clinton from Seattle, wants to be part of this system.
Bill Gates?
Yeah, Bill Gates. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've been watching a lot of like Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're in it.
Exactly. Okay. So, and now someone wants to send money to Bill Gates. How do we reconcile what is real now? Because like his view in Seattle could be different. Like his piece of paper is a different piece of paper from our piece of paper.
So you're saying like if we're all in the same room and like somebody gives you money, it's like we all saw it.
Yes.
So we can confirm that happens.
Exactly.
But if we ask somebody like Bill Gates who wasn't here, he has no idea.
And now imagine doing that at a global scale, right? Where the way that people are interacting with this system is through their computers, right? And I'm saying I sent Chris $10, and everyone else on the internet is like, did you or did you not, right? How do we know? Like the entire banking industry kind of like exists there because Bank of America can step in and say, yes, he did send Chris $10.
Got it.
And then that's how things work. So what we are going to do is, I think we're going to like switch over to the board and like try to actually see how we can design this. All right. So let's say these are your laptops, right? And you guys, the lecture is over, you guys went back home. Right, so everyone's sitting at home, right? And we are doing the same experiment again, where we are saying, this is Muneeb, this is Chris, and I'm saying that I'm sending $10 to Chris, right? And this is the entire network. Like no one else matters. Like only, like this is our world right now, right? And let's say Lee says, yes, looks fine, this transaction happened, right? Over here, there are 2 nodes left, and for some reason they disagree. They're like, no, Muneeb didn't send the money, right? Now, how do we reconcile what actually happened? Right? And one obvious way people would be like, well, maybe the majority should win, right? Like there were 3 votes here, and 2 people here. We can say, well, 3 people are saying that this happened, maybe that should win. This guy, let's say it's Mr. Evil.
Mr. Evil?
He's like, wait a minute, I have 2 other laptops just lying in my drawer. I can just bring them up online, and now I actually have more votes. Right? It's the same person, but he's just like plugging in more laptops into the system and saying like, listen to me, this transaction did not happen, right? And this is where our scheme starts to like break down, that anyone can just go and try to overtake the network. So how would you ever design a system without this like massive, let's say Bank of America, or like you can insert any other bank here, and we can go to this bank for conflict resolution, that hey, did this happen or not, right? So this is precisely the problem that Bitcoin solves. And what they do here with Bitcoin is, like, we know that we have to go to some party or need to have some mechanism to resolve conflicts. What Bitcoin says is, we will design a way where society can collaborate with each other and come up with a way of resolving conflicts without putting any single party in charge. Right? So it kind of like replaces this like big brother in the middle by saying everyone gets to be a part of the network and no single party can actually take it over. Right? So now I'm going to get into how that works. So now imagine something like a video game, right? And time moves forward. Like imagine you're inside a video game and time is moving forward, and this is like time 1, time 2, time 3.
It's like seconds or minutes.
It could be seconds, minutes. It could be any fraction of time, right? Okay. Time is just moving forward, and any changes that happen in that world can only happen in basically steps in time. Right? Like I was standing here, I'm making a move, I'm moving. Now in the next T2, I'm actually standing here, right? So you can imagine transactions in a similar way, that in this time slot, the $10 were in my hand. In the next slot, I gave it over to Chris, right? So like the same principle applies. Now with Bitcoin, everyone who is part of the network imagine that they are kind of like processing the video game, right? Like every node that is part of the network, they're kind of like processing this environment where time is moving forward. And let's say there's a conflict. Let's say around, this is the part of the network that says that T4 is this. And then there are a bunch of nodes, for whatever reason, who say, no, T4 is actually this. And so now there's a fork, right? Like some part of the network is saying Muneeb transferred $10 to Chris. Another part of the network is saying, no, he didn't. So now like there's a fork in reality. And like we are trying to figure out which version of reality are we actually going to say that, hey, this one is true.
It's like the same thing. It's like, did Muneeb get $10 or didn't he? Yes. And there's like a disagreement.
There is
a
disagreement.
Which one do we choose?
Right. And the way Bitcoin solves this problem is to be part of the network. All of these nodes are constantly solving these puzzles. They're like computational puzzles. And they get new puzzles at every time instance. Everyone's solving them, right? And whoever gets the solution gets to basically write the new block of time. Right?
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. So this is Bitcoin's way of solving that problem I talked about, where someone just went and plugged in more laptops to the network. Because now it's not about how many people are on the network, but how many computers are on the network and how many computers do you own. So I might own like 3 of these, and someone else might own like 2 of these, or someone might own 100, but everything translates into how much computing power do you have on the network, right? And then everyone gets like this puzzle that you're solving, and then whoever comes up with a solution says this happened. So now there's a conflict. And this part of the conflict, they keep moving forward, right? Because things are happening in the world all the time. There are other transactions that are happening. So they kind of like continue with their version of reality, while other people can like disagree and try to continue in a different version of reality. what happens is if the majority of the computers are on one version, that version basically progresses faster or has like more computing power behind it. So this one like dies off because people have incentive to jump over to the version that is actually longer or has more computing power.